Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening to this class. This is Mr. Scannell, and we are going through our I can statements. Standard one, we would like to read closely to determine what the text says explicitly or implicitly. Another way to say that would be literally or inferentially, right? So something that you see or something that you have to draw conclusions about, make logical inferences from it, cite specific evidence when writing or speaking to support conclusions drawn from the text. Standard two, determine central ideas, main ideas, or themes of a text and analyze their development. Summarize the key supporting details and ideas. Standard three, analyze how and why individuals, events, and ideas develop and interact over the course of a text. All right, chapter 9, Sea of Monsters. Here we go. Percy is on the ship with Annabeth and Tyson. They're trying to find Grover, and they find out that the ship is something's not right. I have the worst family reunion ever. Annabeth volunteered to go alone since she had the cap of invisibility, but I convinced her it was too dangerous. Either we all went together or nobody went. Nobody, Tyson voted, please. But in the end, he came along, nervously chewing on his huge fingernails. We stopped at our cabin long enough to gather our stuff. We figured whatever happened, we would not be staying another night aboard the zombie cruise ship, even if they did have $1 million bingo. I made sure Riptide was in my pocket, and the vitamins and thermos from Hermes were at the top of my bag. I didn't want Tyson to carry everything, but he insisted, and Annabeth told me not to worry about it. Tyson could carry 3 full duffel bags over his shoulder as easily as I could carry a backpack. We sneaked through the corridors, following the ship's "You Are Here" signs toward the Admiralty suite. Annabeth scouted ahead invisibly. We hid whenever someone passed by, but most of the people we saw were just glassy-eyed zombie passengers. As we came up the stairs to deck 13, where the Admiralty suite was supposed to be, Annabeth hissed, "Hide!" and shoved us into a supply closet. I heard a couple guys coming down the hall. Ironic that the Admiralty suite's supposed to be on floor 13. "You see that Ethiopian Draken in the cargo hold?" one of them said. The other laughed. "Yeah, it's awesome." Annabeth was still invisible, but she squeezed my arm hard. I got a feeling I should know the second guy's voice. "I hear they got 2 more coming," the familiar voice said. "They keep arriving at this rate. Oh man, no contest." The voices faded down the corridor. That was Chris Rodriguez. Annabeth took off her cap and turned invisible. "You remember from cabin 11? I sort of recall Chris from the summer before. He was one of those undetermined campers who got stuck in the Hermes cavern because his Olympian daughter mom never claimed him. Now that I thought about it, I realized I hadn't seen Chris at camp this summer. What's another half-blood doing here?" Annabeth shook her head, clearly troubled. We kept going down the corridor. I didn't need maps anymore to know I was getting close to Luke. I sensed something cold and unpleasant, the presence of evil. "Percy!" Annabeth stopped suddenly. "Look!" She stood in front of a glass wall, looking down into the multi-story canyon that ran through the middle of the ship. At the bottom was the promenade, a mall full of shops. But that's not what caught Annabeth's attention. A group of monsters had assembled in front of the candy store. A dozen Lestronian giants like the one who'd attacked me with dodgeballs, 2 hellhounds, and a few even stranger creatures. Humanoid females with twin serpent tails instead of legs. "Girls, Maggie, chill out. Just, thank you." "Scythian Dracenae," Annabeth whispered. "Dragon women." The monsters made a semicircle around a young guy in Greek armor who was hacking on a straw dummy. A lump formed in my throat when I realized the dummy was wearing an orange Camp Half-Blood t-shirt. As we watched, the guy in armor stabbed the dummy through its belly and ripped upward. Straw flew everywhere. The monsters cheered and howled. Annabeth stepped away from the window. Her face was ashen. "Come on," I told her, trying to sound braver than I felt. The sooner we find Luke, the better. At the end of the hallway were double oak doors that looked like they must lead somewhere important. When we were 30 feet away, Tyson stopped. Voices inside. You can hear that far? I asked. Tyson closed his eye like he was concentrating hard. Then his voice changed, becoming a husky approximation of Luke's. The prophecy ourselves, the fools won't know which way to turn. Before I could react, Tyson's voice changed again, become deeper and gruffer, like the other guy we'd heard talking to Luke outside the cafeteria. You really think that the old horseman is gone for good? Tyson's laugh laughed Luke's laugh. Ha ha ha, they can't trust him. Not with the skeletons in his closet. The poisoning of the tree was the final straw. Annabeth shivered. Stop that, Tyson. How do you do that? It's creepy. Tyson opened his eye and looked puzzled. I'm just listening. Keep going, I said. What else are they saying? Tyson closed his eye again. He hissed in the gruff man's voice. Quiet. Then Luke's voice, whispering, Are you sure? Yes, Tyson said in the gruff voice. Right outside. Too late. I realized what was happening. I just had time to say, Run! When the doors of the stateroom burst open, and there was Luke, flanked by two hairy giants armed with javelins, their bronze tips aimed right at our chest. Well, Luke said with a crooked smile, if it isn't my two favorite cousins, come right in. The stateroom was beautiful, and it was horrible. The beautiful part, huge windows curved along the back wall, looking out over the stern of the ship. Green sea and blue sky stretched all the way to the horizon. A Persian rug covered the floor. Two plush sofas occupied the middle of the room, with a canopy bed in one corner and a mahogany dining table in the other. The table was loaded with food, pizza boxes, bottles of soda, and a stock of roast beef sandwiches on a silver platter. The horrible part, on a velvet dais at the back of the room lay a 10-foot long golden casket, a sarcophagus engraved with ancient Greek scenes of cities in flames and heroes dying grisly deaths. Despite the sunlight streaming through the windows, the casket made the whole room feel cold. Well, Luke said, spreading his arms proudly, a little nicer than cabin 11, huh? He'd changed since last summer. Instead of Bermuda shorts and a t shirt, he wore a button down shirt, khaki pants, and leather loafers. His sandy hair, which used to be so unruly, was now clipped short. He looked like an evil male model, showing off what the fashionable college age villain was wearing to Harvard this year. He still had the scar under his eye, a jagged white line from his battle with a dragon, and propped against the sofa was his magical sword, Backbiter, glinting strangely with its half steel, half celestial bronze blade that could kill both mortals and monsters. Sit, he told us. He waved his hand, and three dining chairs scooted themselves into the center of the room. None of us sat. Luke's large friends were still pointing their javelins at us. They looked like twins, but they weren't human. They stood about 8 feet tall, for one thing, and wore only blue jeans, probably because their enormous chests were already shag carpeted with thick brown fur. They had claws for fingernails, feet like paws. Their noses were snout like, and their teeth were all pointed canines. Where are my manners? Luke said smoothly. These are my assistants, Agrius and Aureus. Perhaps you've heard of them. I said nothing. Despite the javelins pointed at me, it wasn't the bear twins who scared me. I'd imagined meeting Luke again many times since he tried to kill me last summer. I pictured myself boldly standing up to him, challenging him to a duel, but now that we were face to face, I could barely stop my hands from shaking. You don't know Agrius and Aureus' story? Luke asked. Their mother, well, it's sad, really. Aphrodite ordered the woman to fall in love. She refused and ran to Artemis for help. Artemis let her become one of her maiden huntresses, but Aphrodite got her revenge. She bewitched the young woman into falling in love with the bear. When Artemis found out, she abandoned the girl in disgust. Typical of the gods, wouldn't you say? They fight with one another, and the poor humans get caught in the middle. The girl's twin sons here, Agrius and Aureus, have no love for Olympus. They like half-bloods well enough, though. For lunch, Agrius growled. His gruff voice was the one I'd heard talking with Luke earlier. His brother Aureus laughed, licking his fern-lined lips. He kept laughing like he was having an asthmatic fit until Luke and Agrius both stared at him. "Ess up, you idiot," Agrius growled. "Go punish yourself." Aureus whimpered. He trudged over to the corner of the room, slumped into a stool, and banged his forehead against the dining table, making the silver plates rattle. Luke acted like this was perfectly normal behavior. He made himself comfortable on the sofa and propped his feet up on the coffee table. "Well, Percy, we let you survive another year. I hope you appreciated it. How's your mom? How's school?" "You poisoned Talia's tree." Luke sighed. "Right to the point, eh? Okay, sure. I poisoned the tree. So what?" "How could you?" Annabeth sounded so angry I thought she'd explode. "Talia saved your life. Our lives. How could you dishonor her?" "I didn't dishonor her," Luke snapped. "The gods dishonored her, Annabeth. If Talia were alive, she'd be on my side." "Liar. If you knew what was coming, you'd understand." "I understand you want to destroy the camp," she yelled. "You're a monster." Luke shook his head. "The gods have blinded you. Can't you imagine a world without them, Annabeth? What good is that ancient history you study? 3,000 years of baggage. The West is rotten to the core. It has to be destroyed. Join me. We can start the world anew. We could use your intelligence, Annabeth. Because you have none of your own?" His eyes narrowed. "I know you, Annabeth. You deserve to not have lag time. But you are, because Bookshare. You deserve better than tagging along on some hopeless quest to save the camp. Half-Blood Hill will be overrun by monsters within the month. The heroes who survive will have no choice but to join us or be hunted to extinction. You really want to be on a losing team with company like this?" Luke pointed at Tyson. "Hey," I said. "Traveling with the Cyclops," Luke's chided. Talk about dishonoring Talia's memory. "I'm surprised at you, Annabeth. You, of all people." "Stop it," she shouted. I didn't know what Luke was talking about, but Annabeth buried her head in her hands like she was about to cry. "Leave her alone," I said, "and leave Tyson out of this." Luke laughed. "Oh, yeah, I heard. Your father claimed him." I must have looked surprised because Luke smiled. "Yes, Percy, I know all about that. And about your plan to find the fleece. What were those coordinates again? 30, 31, 75, 12. You see, I still have friends at camp who keep me posted." "Spies, you mean?" He shrugged. "How many insults from your father can you stand, Percy? You think he's grateful to you? You think Poseidon cares for you any more than he cares for this monster?" Tyson clenched his fist and made a rumbling sound deep in his throat. Luke just chuckled. "The gods are using you, Percy. Do you have any idea what's in store for you if you reach your 16th birthday? Has Chiron ever even told you the prophecy?" I wanted to get in Luke's face and tell him off, but as usual, he knew just how to throw me off balance. 16th birthday. I mean, I knew Chiron had received a prophecy from the oracle many years ago. I knew part of it was about me, but if I reached my 16th birthday, I didn't like the sound of that. "I know what I need to know," I managed. "Luke, who my enemies are, then you're a fool." Tyson smashed the nearest dining chairs to splinters. "Percy is not a fool." Before I could stop him, he charged Luke. His fist came down toward Luke's head, a double overhead blow that would have knocked a hole in titanium, but the Bear twins intercepted. They each caught one of Tyson's arms and stopped him cold. They pushed him back, and Tyson stumbled. He fell to the carpet so hard the deck shook. "Too bad, Cyclops," Luke said. "Looks like my grizzly friends together are more than a match for your strength. Maybe I should let them." "Luke," I cut in, "listen to me. Your father sent us." His face turned the color of pepperoni. "Don't even mention him. He told us to take this boat. I thought it was just for a ride, but he sent us here to find you. He told me he won't give up on you, no matter how angry you are." Angry? Luke roared. Give up on me? He abandoned me, Percy. I want Olympus destroyed, every throne crushed to rubble. You tell Hermes it's going to happen. Each time a half blood joins us, the Olympians grow weaker and we grow stronger. He grows stronger. Luke pointed to the gold sarcophagus. The box creeped me out, but I was determined not to show it. So? I demanded, what's so special? Then it hit me what might be inside the sarcophagus. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 20 degrees. Whoa, you don't mean. He is reforming, Luke said. Little by little, we're calling his life force out of the pit. With every recruit who pledges our cause, another small piece appears. That's disgusting, Annabeth said. Luke sneered at her. Your mother was born from Zeus's split skull, Annabeth. I wouldn't talk. Soon there will be enough of the Titan Lord so that we can make him whole again. He will piece together a new body. We will piece together a new body for him, a work worthy of the forges of Hephaestus. You're insane, Annabeth said. Join us and you'll be rewarded. We have powerful friends, sponsors rich enough to buy this cruise ship and much more. Percy, your mother will never have to work again. You can buy her a mansion. You can have power. Fame, whatever you want, Annabeth. You can realize your dream of being an architect. You can build a monument to last 1,000 years, a temple to the lords of the next age. Go to Tartarus, she said. Luke sighed, ashamed. He picked up something that looked like a TV remote and pressed the red button. Within seconds, the door of the stateroom opened and two uniformed crew members came in, armed with nightsticks. They had the same glassy eyed look as the other mortals I'd seen, but I had a feeling this wouldn't make them any less dangerous in a fight. Ah, good. Security, Luke said. I'm afraid we have some stowaways. Yes, sir, they said dreamily. Luke turned to Aureus. It's time to feed the Ethiopian Draken. Take these fools below and show them how it's done. Aureus grinned stupidly. Heh 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 heh. Let me go too, Agrius grumbled. My brother is worthless. That Cyclops is no threat, Luke said. He glanced back at the golden casket as if something were troubling him. Agrius, stay here. We have more important matters to discuss. But, Aureus, don't fail me. Stay in the hold to make sure the Draken is properly fed. Aureus prodded us with his javelin and herded us out of the stateroom, followed by the two human security guards. As I walked down the corridor with Aureus's javelin poking me in the back, I thought about what Luke had said, that the bear twins together were a match for Tyson's strength, but maybe separately. We exited the corridor amidships and walked across an open deck lined with lifeboats. I knew the ship well enough to realize this would be our last look at sunlight. Once we got to the other side, we'd take the elevator down to the hold, and that would be it. I looked at Tyson and said, Now! Predict what's going to happen here. Make a prediction. What's going to happen? Percy and Annabeth and Tyson are going to do something. Thank the gods he understood. He turned and smacked Aureus 30 feet backward into the swimming pool, right into the middle of the zombie tourist family. Ah, the kids yelled in unison. We are not having a blast in the pool. One of the security guards drew his nightstick, but Annabeth knocked the wind out of him with a well-placed kick. The other guard ran for the nearest alarm box. Stop him, Annabeth yelled, but it was too late. Just before I banged him on the head with a deck chair, he hit the alarm. Red lights flashed, sirens wailed. Lifeboat, I yelled. We ran for the nearest one. By the time we got the cover off, monsters and more security men were swarming the deck, pushing aside tourists and waiters with trays of tropical drinks. A guy in Greek armor drew his sword and charged, but slipped in a puddle of pina colada. Lastronian archers assembled on the deck above us, notching arrows in their enormous bows. How do you launch this thing? Screamed Annabeth. A hellhound leaped at me, but Tyson slammed it aside with a fire extinguisher. Get in, I yelled. I uncapped Riptide and slashed the first volley of arrows out of the air. Any second, we would be overwhelmed. The lifeboat was hanging over the side of the ship, high above the water. Annabeth and Tyson were having no luck with the release pulley. I jumped in beside them. Hold on, I yelled, and I cut the ropes. So that was up to Check.